Shabbat Shalom,
Shabbat Shalom.
which is peace on Yahweh's holy Sabbath day. Welcome to another holy convocation that Yahweh has enjoined unto us here in Stone Mountain, Georgia. Thank you guys for holding on with us on the phone line. I apologize, we're moving a little bit behind schedule, but Yahweh's will, um, everything will flow smoothly today. Praise Yahweh. We do have some baptisms that we have scheduled for today as well. But before we get started, brother, would you read the oracles and entreat the angel that stands at the door to come and sup with us and us with him, that we may make this a holy convocation by the angel's presence?
1 Peter chapter 4, verses 7 through 11. But the end of all things is at hand. Be you therefore sober, and watch unto prayer. And above all things have fervent love among yourselves, for love shall cover the multitude of sins. Use hospitality one to another without grudging. As every man has received the gift, even so minister the same one to another, as good stewards of the manifold grace of Elohim. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of Elohim. If any man minister, let him do it as of the ability which Elohim gives, that Elohim in all things may be glorified through Yahshua the Mashiach, to whom be praise and dominion forever and ever. Amen. Ephesians chapter 4, verses 29 through chapter 5 and verse 4. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. And grieve not the Holy Spirit of Elohim, whereby you are sealed until the day of redemption. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be you kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as Elohim for Yahshua's sake has forgiven you. Be you therefore followers of Elohim, as dear children, and walk in love, as the Mashiach also have loved us, and has given himself for us an offering and sacrifice to Elohim for a sweet-smelling savor. But fornication, and all uncleanness, or covetousness, let it not be once named among you as becomes saints. Neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather given of thanks. Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verses 1 and 2. Keep your foot when you go to the house of Elohim, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil. Be not rash with your mouth, and let not your heart be hasty to utter anything before Elohim. For Elohim is in heaven, and you upon earth. Therefore let your words be few. Exodus chapter 23, verses 20 and 21. Behold, I send an angel before you, to keep you in the way, and to bring you into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him, and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. Revelations chapter 3, verses 20 through 22. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him, and will sup with him, and he with me. To him that overcomes will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I have also overcame, and am sat down with my Father in his throne. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches.
All right. Now, last week, I asked if anybody knew how they calculated the date for Easter. Who knows how they calculate the date for Easter? All right, I seen two hands. Come on now, some of y'all done kept Easter for 40 years. Now y'all didn't know. Come on now, y'all kept Easter for 40 years straight. Y'all don't know how they kept the date. Y'all just showed up whatever day it said on the calendar. Did the day right here. Did the day. Why? Because the calendar man said it. Because last week's program. Huh? Last week's program. Come on now, 40 years of Easter keeping. All right. I want to read something to y'all first. This is says in 325 CE, the Council of Nicaea. Now, we've heard of that. What else did the Council of Nicaea ordain? Changing of the Sabbath. So this was not then ordained by the church. This was done by the state. Okay. Established that Easter would be held on the first Sunday after the first full moon occurring after the vernal equinox. Now, what does that sound like? Passover. So they were trying to make it fit the time of the year without keeping Passover, but making it around Passover. You see all this stuff. I always tell people, when you tell a lie, you're going to have to tell 2 or 3 more. Because one lie will never stand by. Lies get lonely. See, they need friends. They need companionship. Lies need lots. So when you tell one lie, you're going to have to tell a couple of lies. Because that lie going to get cold and lonely by itself. It's going to require you to tell another one. So there's a whole lot of stuff that has to go to put this back, when all you had to do was just keep Passover. That's all you had to do. But you got to figure out a way to put his resurrection back in the same time without keeping the days that Yahweh told you to keep. I want to read something else. This was the proposed Easter date reforms. There have been a number of suggested reforms for the Easter date. For example, in 1997, the World Council of Churches proposed a reform of the Easter calculation to replace an equation-based method of calculating Easter with a direct astronomical observation. This would have solved the Easter date difference between the churches that observe the Gregorian calendar and those that observe the Julian calendar. The reform was proposed to be implemented in 2001, but is not yet adopted. Another example of a proposed reform occurred in the United Kingdom, where the Easter Act of 1928 was established to allow the Easter date to be fixed as the first Sunday after the second Saturday in April. However, this law was not implemented, although it remains on the UK statute law database. All that, when all you had to do was follow your instructions. Now, today, as we are preparing for the Passover, many are preparing for Easter. Many people believe in maintaining the separation between church and state while not understanding that the line between the two was blurred long ago. The change of the Sabbath from Saturday to Sunday and the institution that Easter would be kept on the first Sunday after the full moon that occurs following the vernal equinox was a declaration of the state, not of the church. Today, we unknowingly deny the King of Kings by denying what was set in place for us to follow. Many of us believe that if we were alive during the time of the Mashiach, that we would not have denied him. Yet, when we examine what is written, the people in mass desired a murderer over Yahshua the Mashiach. Likewise, King David was rejected initially as king over Israel. As it is written, the people did not flock unto King David on their own. 1 Samuel chapter 22 says they were in distress, discontented, and in debt, and were persuaded to join David. I wonder how many of us today understand that we are in distress, discomfited, and in debt, that we may be persuaded to join unto the Son of David. We're going to begin today in 1 Samuel chapter 8, and leave a mark there in your book, because we're going to go back to that same general area a few times. We're going to begin in 1 Samuel chapter 8, and we're going to start at verse 1. And today's sermon is entitled David and His Son. See, the prophecies talk about the son of David sitting on this throne and having a kingdom that shall go forever, and that he shall build the house of Yahweh. Now, we know that Solomon built the physical house, but that wasn't the son he was talking about. That was his earthly son. Yahweh was speaking of his spiritual son. See, there's a lot of, my teacher had many physical sons. They don't really, a lot of them don't follow the word. It's not about the physical sons. It's about those that have made a decision that they are going to be the spiritual sons. Now, it is possible for one to be physically and spiritually if they do what they're supposed to do. But the word is not, they did not have that amount of understanding at that time. So, of course, they believed that Solomon was the man, that this was his physical temple has been set up, but he was not the one. So we have to understand that even prophecies are given several times over and fulfilled in a duality when it really comes down to it. 1 Samuel chapter 8, and let's start that at verse 1.
And it came to pass, when Samuel was old, that he made his sons judges over Israel. Now the name of his firstborn was Joel, and the name of his second Abiah. They were judges in Beersheba. And his sons walked not in his ways, but turned aside after lucre, and took bribes, and perverted judgment. Then all the elders of Israel gathered themselves together, and came to Samuel unto Ramah, and said unto him, Behold, you are old, and your sons walk not in your ways. Now make us a king to judge us like all the nations. But the thing displeased Samuel, when they said, Give us a king to judge us. And Samuel prayed unto Yahweh.
Right. The thing displeased him. So even before he went unto Yahweh. Go ahead.
And Yahweh said unto Samuel, Hearken unto the voice of the people in all that they say unto you. For they have not rejected you, but they have rejected me, that I should not reign over them.
Right. Now, one thing you have to understand of the things that are written in this book, when it talks about being a servant of Yahshua and of Yahweh, a servant is not above his master. Understand, this is the creator of all things. Okay? We're talking about Yahweh saying, they have not rejected you. They have rejected me. So there are certain things, you can't be a servant of Yahweh and not understand his plight. So when people decide that they're going to say, okay, I'm going to be a teacher, I'm going to be this, I'm going to be that, understand what you invite unto yourself. You can't understand Yahweh's plight. And you're going to go along with these things, you're going to have to understand what it's like to be rejected. This is the creator of all things. And he is rejected by the very people that he chose, that he pulled out of uncleanness and blood and all of those things. See, people want to believe that, Israel was this first nation set up. No. The heathens, all of those nations were set up long before Israel. So here it is that Yahweh went out of his way to pick a people. Yahweh created all flesh. But what Yahweh went about to pick was a people who would represent him on this earth. And those were the people that rejected him. Go ahead.
1 Samuel chapter 8 and verse 8. According to all the works which they have done since the day that I brought them up out of Egypt, even unto this day, wherewith they have forsaken me, and served other gods, so do they also unto you. Now therefore hearken unto their voice. Howbeit, yet protest solemnly unto them, and show them the manner of king that shall reign over them.
There's times you can tell people, and if you got kids, you get this practice all the time. You tell them, look, son, little girl, that ain't a good idea. You can tell them everything that's gonna happen, but they still, no, I think I'm gonna do this. I can do this. All right. So he said, go ahead. You go give them what they asked for, because they're not gonna listen to any other thing that you have to say anyway. But nonetheless, this is why you still have to say it, because for righteous judgment to take place, there have to be a situation where the person was told. So he's not saying, look, go ahead and try to persuade them. No. Go ahead and tell them. They're not going to believe you anyway, because they don't believe me. But go ahead and tell them. And they're going to do what they want to do. And then we're going to see what happens. Go ahead.
Verse 10. And Samuel told all the words of Yahweh unto the people that asked of him a king. And he said, This will be the manner of the king that will reign over you. He will take your sons and appoint them for himself, for his chariots, and to be his horsemen, and some shall run before his chariots. And he will appoint him captains over thousands, and captains over fifties, and will set them to ear his ground, and to reap his harvest, and to make his instruments of war, and instruments of his chariots. And he will take your daughters to be confectionaries, and to be cooks, and to be bakers. And he will take your fields, and your vineyards, and your olive yards, even the best of them, and give them to his servants. And he will take the tenth of your seed, and of your vineyards, and give to his officers and to his servants.
So then you got to tithe to Yahweh, so the king gonna take another tenth for himself. Now he's telling them all of this, and they're okay with being ruled over with rigor. Go ahead.
And he will take your men servants and your maid servants, and your goodliest young man, and your asses, and put them to his work. He will take the tenth of your sheep, and you shall be his servants. And you shall cry out in that day because of your king which you shall have chosen you.
You chose you this king. You chose this person to rule over you. I didn't choose this person to rule over you. You chose them. Go ahead.
And Yahweh will not hear you in that day. Nevertheless, the people refused to obey the voice of Samuel, and they said, "No, but we will have a king over us."
Yeah, that's all fine and dandy. You give a lot of good points, Samuel. You are we like that you talk to Yahweh and all that. That is some really interesting stuff. But what time are you bringing our king back? Go ahead.
That we also may be like all the nations, and that our king may judge us, and go out before us, and fight our battles.
Now, we want to be, sanctified means being separated. Separated, you're different from everybody else. Israel said, I don't want to be different. I want to be just like everybody else. Sound like Jake. I want to look like everybody. I remember my mom used to make my clothes when I was little. I used to be the sharpest guy around. I started crying. I want to wear some Levi's like everybody else. They wearing jeans. I hurt my mama feel. She went to, back then everybody had the Sears and Roebuck card. Y'all don't know nothing about that. Y'all too young. So my mama had to get the Sears and Roebuck and get me some jeans. Then as I got a little older, that kind of clothing was, what it was known to be expensive and all of those things. My mom like, Then I tried to go back to it. Hey, make me some clothes. After that, I done hurt all inside. I done changed the way that was. I was totally different from everybody else, but I wanted to look like everybody else. I wanted to be just like everybody. Let me pretend like I'm everybody else. And that's what we do. We have a light and we want to turn it down so that we look like everybody else. Everybody else's light ain't that bright. You got a lampshade, brother. So I can turn myself down. Right. Go ahead.
Verse 21. And Samuel heard all the words of the people, and he rehearsed them in the ears of Yahweh. And Yahweh said to Samuel, Hearken unto their voice, and make them a king. And Samuel said unto the men of Israel, Go you every man unto his city.
Right. Now, this is the king that Israel has chosen to rule over them, not what Yahweh has chosen to be over them. Let's go to Yohanan chapter 19. Now remember, keep your place in 1 Samuel 8. It's going to be easier to get back to where we're going to after this. Yohanan chapter 19, and we're going to read verses 1 through 15.
John chapter 19 and verse 1. Then Pilate therefore took Yahshua and scourged him. And the soldiers plaited a crown of thorns and put it on his head. And they put on him a purple robe.
Right. So they're going to mock him as being the king of the children of Israel. Go ahead.
And said, Hail, King of the Yehudis! And they smote him with their hands. Pilate therefore went forth again, and saith unto them, Behold, I bring him forth to you, that you may know that I find no fault in him.
But you see how you can force government by what the people want? People talk about all of the power of the government. The power of the government still lies within the people. So that's why the movement to control the minds of the people is very, very beneficial and strong in government. Even though the government has all the weapons and they have all of this and they have all of that, they cannot go to war without the public opinion of that war with the people. The reason they had to back out of the Vietnam War, pictures came back. Stuff started coming back, and then people like, hey, man, hey, there were people that had been protesting about it. But when people said, man, we are losing way too much, they started seeing all of these things. Public opinion was no longer with the war. And government, if they keep pushing totally against the will of the public, they then end up with the possibility of a revolt. So then you see that this fake information has to be put out there so that the mind of the people is with it. When it came time for them to go over into Iraq, they had everybody believing, hey, there were weapons of mass destruction. These planes were flew into here. Now everybody voted for the Patriot Act. Let's go to war. Everybody, the public opinion was for it. But as soon as the public opinion said, wait a minute, man, we ain't found out one weapon. Wait a minute, man, it don't make sense that a plane will fly in the building and the whole plane disintegrate. Why didn't a whole chunk of that plane fall down and land down in the middle of the street? Where's the rest of the plane? Planes don't just disintegrate. Okay, we're talking about hunks of metal. Before anybody could examine the metal, Giuliani came through and had everybody pull all the metal out. This is an investigation. You don't remove the stuff before the investigation. Newsflash. When there's an accident on the side of the street, why do you think the traffic bad? Because they still investigating. They can't move the stuff until they figure out what happened. How is it they moved all of that stuff? All them people dead, but they're able to move it before anybody investigates. Those are the signs of a cover-up. See, that stuff don't make sense. And metal don't burn and melt. Metal don't burn like that. There are buildings overseas, they end up burning for weeks at a time and the hull is still there. So you have to understand that this misinformation is there to get the minds of the people behind whatever they want to do. Go ahead.
Yohanan chapter 19 and verse 5. Then came Yahshua forth, wearing the crown of thorns and the purple robe. And Pilate saith unto them, Behold the man.
Right. Now, he's doing this even though there are certain people that do not want anything to do with this, but the will of the people is behind it. Go ahead.
When the chief priests therefore and officers saw him, they cried out, saying, Crucify him, crucify him. Pilate saith unto them, Take you him and crucify him, for I find no fault in him.
He found no fault in him, but he's still a servant of the people, because each person has to worry about the person that's over them. So he's kind of being pushed into doing these things. The same thing happened today in churches and all of these things where people go along with this evil will, even though they might know that it's not correct. Go ahead.
The Yehudis answer him, We have a law, and by our law he ought to die, because he made himself the son of Elohim. When Pilate therefore heard that saying, he was the more afraid, and went again into the judgment hall, and saith unto Yahshua, Whence are you? But Yahshua gave him no answer. Then saith Pilate unto him, Speak you not unto me? Knoweth you not that I have power to crucify you, and have power to release you?
He's trying to find a way to get himself out of this situation. Go ahead.
Yahshua answered, You couldst have no power at all against me, except it were given you from above. Therefore he that delivered me unto you has the greater sin.
He has the greater sin who delivered me unto you. You just here to do a job. Go ahead.
And from thenceforth Pilate sought to release him. But the Yehudis cried out, saying, If you let this man go, you are not Caesar's friend. Whosoever maketh himself a king speaketh against Caesar.
Now, this is Israel pushing this man into a corner. Go ahead.
When Pilate therefore heard that saying, he brought Yahshua forth, and sat down in the judgment seat in a palace, in a place that is called the Pavement, but in the Hebrew, Gabbatha. And it was the preparation of the Passover, and about the 6th hour. And he saith unto the Yehudis, Behold your king. But they cried out, Away with him! Away with him! Crucify him! Pilate saith unto them, Shall I crucify your king? The chief priests answered, We have no king but Caesar.
The chief priests answered, We have no king but Caesar. So, Israel has rejected Yahweh and has rejected Yahshua. Let's go to 1 Samuel chapter 16. So Yahweh not going to ask you to do something that he hadn't done. So a lot of times we go through something and we feel, oh, it's only us. Oh, we going through this. Oh, we got all these problems. Right. You ever created something and it rejected you? Yeah. Yeah, y'all figure that one out. 1 Samuel chapter 16, verse 1. I'm going to leave that alone.
And Yahweh said unto Samuel, How long will you mourn for Saul, seeing I have rejected him from reigning over Israel?
Right. Now, Samuel still wants to, even though it was Israel asking for this king, he ended up anointing him as king. But, of course, he wasn't trained to do the job. And that's what people don't understand about. There's something about having a gift, but then all gifts must still be cultivated. It's not about you just having a gift. The gift then has to be cultivated. So even as Yahweh then picks him another king, he doesn't give him and put him in authority right away. Go ahead.
Fill your horn with oil and go. I will send you to Yesse the Bethlehemite, for I have provided me a king among his sons. And Samuel said, How can I go? If Saul hear it, he will kill me.
Now that's the very man who anointed him, and he's afraid if he hear that I'm going somewhere, he will kill me. This man is off the chain. Saul killed priests. He killed innocent people. He did whatever he had to do. He looked like a man of war because he was taller than everybody else. He physically looked like a king. But inside, he was afraid. Every time Yahweh tell him to do it, well, the people did it. What do you mean the people? You're the king over the people. Go ahead.
And Yahweh said, Take an heifer with you, and say, I am come to sacrifice to Yahweh. And call Yesse to the sacrifice, and I will show you what you shall do. And you shall anoint unto me him whom I name unto you.
Right. So now they got to put on this double fold situation here so that he's able to anoint the next king without getting killed himself. Go ahead.
And Samuel did that which Yahweh spake, and came to Bethlehem. And the elders of the town trembled at his coming, and said, Cometh you peaceably?
Now, these people tremble at the presence of a prophet and a priest showing up because they wonder if judgment has come to their town. People walk around and they have the master prophet. People are all happy when the prophets come now. Why? Because they're giving personal prophecies. They're worrying about, has Yahweh uttered judgment against this town? Why you showed up here? I mean, we like you and everything, but why you here? You ain't come, ain't a bag of judgment in there. No, okay, all right, well, come on in. Come on in. Go ahead.
Verse 5. And he said, Peaceably, I am come to sacrifice unto Yahweh. Sanctify yourselves, and come with me to the sacrifice. And he sanctified Jesse and his sons, and called them to the sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
And it came to pass, when they were come, that he looked on Eliab, and said, Surely Yahweh's anointed is before me. But Yahweh said unto Samuel, Look not on his countenance, or on the height of his stature, because I have refused him.
Right. See, the people, that's what they ended up doing with Saul. Oh, man, he looked like a man of war. See? So physically, with their flesh, they picked the person to rule over them. But Yahweh doesn't choose men like men choose men. Go ahead.
For Yahweh seeth not as man seeth. For man looketh on the outward appearance, but Yahweh looketh on the heart. Then Jesse called Amminadab, and made him pass before Samuel. And he said, Neither hath Yahweh chosen this. Then Jesse made Shemaiah to pass by. And he said, Neither has Yahweh chosen this. Again Jesse made 7 of his sons to pass before Samuel. And Samuel said unto Jesse, Yahweh hath not chosen these. And Samuel said unto Jesse, Are here all your children? And he said, There remaineth yet the youngest, and behold, he keepeth the sheep.
He wasn't even worried about bringing him. Surely you can't be talking about him. That's a little pretty dude. He's a looker. You know, ain't nobody gonna follow him. Man, who gonna follow the pretty dude? Nobody won't follow him. You want a mean warrior looking dude. I got a couple of them. Come look at my son. Come look. Yeah, come look. He said, No, man, this ain't it. Yahweh has not told. You sure this is all your son? Well, I mean, one more. But I mean, the pretty dude to keep the sheep. Go ahead.
And Samuel said unto Jesse, Send and fetch him, for we will not sit down till he cometh hither. Verse 12. And he sent and brought him in. Now he was ruddy, and withal of a beautiful countenance, and goodly to look to.
Ain't nobody trying to have him as a king. Who's the pretty boy? Who is this handsome fella here? We supposed to follow him? There ain't no other nation gonna be scared of us if he show up. Go ahead.
And Yahweh said, Arise, anoint him, for this is he. Then Samuel took the horn of oil, and anointed him in the midst of his brethren. And the Spirit of Yahweh came upon David from that day forward. So Samuel rose up and went to Ramah.
Now, understand how Yahweh does things. It wasn't a secret situation as far as this man being anointed. He was anointed in the presence of other people. Then you have David being anointed while Saul is still king. So Saul is still a king. He has a crown, a thorn, a place of rulership, and possession of holy things. Yet he's not the real king. He's not the real ruler. But people are still going to follow Saul because he has the physical possession of the power, but he's not the real king. Go ahead.
Verse 14. 1 Samuel chapter 16 and verse 14. But the Spirit of Yahweh departed from Saul, and an evil spirit from Yahweh troubled him. And Saul's servant said unto him, Behold now, an evil spirit from Elohim troubleth you. Let our master now command your servants, which are before you, to seek out a man who is a cunning player on an harp. And it shall come to pass, when the evil spirit from Elohim is upon you, that he shall play with his hand, and you shall be well. And Saul said unto his servants, Provide me now a man that can play well, and bring him to me. Then answered one of his servants and said, Behold, I have seen a son of Jesse the Bethlehemite, that is cunning in playing, and a mighty valiant man, and a man of war, and prudent in matters, and a comely person, and Yahweh is with him.
So in this time, now he is being presented with a job that gets him closer to the throne. But it's a job in playing music. But he has learned war. Understand, in the beginning, this is a man who's keeping the sheep. So now he has developed these things. See, Yahweh has taken the time to train him for the job. Keep in mind, Saul just plop ended up in rulership. No training, no nothing. And people don't get why it is necessary for the trainer. They don't do that at jobs. People get. They don't just turn around, hey, how you doing, man? Here go airplane, here go the keys. All right, brother, do that thing. Hey, man, how you turn this plane on? Hey, am I gonna need to know how to stop this thing? Where the brakes at? How you land it? They're not just gonna give you their stuff without showing you what to do. But because Israel wanted something to fulfill their flesh, Yahweh said, go ahead and give it to him. And I already told you what he gonna do. How I know he gonna do it? Because he ain't been trained to do it. Who trained him? You have people come in the congregation, be there for a year and say, you know what, I'm finna go out and teach. I know they're gonna be out worshiping the devil because I know they don't know nothing. Go ahead.
Verse 19. Wherefore Saul sent messengers unto Jesse, and said, Send me David your son, which is with the sheep. And Jesse took an ass laden with bread, and a bottle of wine, and a kid, and sent them by David his son unto Saul. And David came to Saul, and stood before him, and he loved him greatly, and he became his armor bearer. And Saul sent to Jesse.
So he moving up then. See? He the music dude. You know? He the pretty little poet, but he can fight. Now he's moving up. Go ahead.
And Saul sent to Jesse, saying, Let David, I pray you, stand before me, for he has found favor in my sight. And it came to pass, when the evil spirit from Elohim was upon Saul, that David took an harp and played with his hand. So Saul was refreshed and was well, and the evil spirit departed from him.
So the king to be was able to play music that would cause the king who has the throne now, he was able to cause the evil spirit to leave him. So he liked his music. Come here and play. I like your music, boy. Come do that music thing, because I don't feel right. But I feel right after you do your music thing. I like that. Right. Let's go to Yohanan chapter 8. Now you have to look at some things now. This was the youngest one who was anointed as far as being David, the youngest of the sons. And because of how Israel is a major respecter of persons when it comes to age. Israel is real big on that thing. So just the fact that they would possibly think about anointing the youngest is a serious issue there. And this is not just an issue. Then Christ ended up having the same issue that David had. Yohanan chapter 8, and let's start this at verse 51.
Verily, verily, I say unto you, if a man keep my saying, he shall never see death. Then said the Yehudis unto him, Now we know that you have a devil. Abraham is dead, and the prophets, and you saith, if a man keep your sayings, he shall never taste of death?
Now, Yahshua is talking way over their head. He's talking on spiritual things, but the carnal people of the flesh can only mind the things of the flesh. So that's all that they can think about. They can't deal with anything spiritual. So these things are going over their head, so they feel justified in all the wrong that they did to the Mashiach. Go ahead.
Are you greater than our father Abraham, which is dead? And the prophets are dead. Who maketh you yourself? Yahshua answered, If I honor myself, my honor is nothing. It is my Father that honoreth me, of whom you say that he is your Elohim. Yet you have not known him, but I know him. And if I should say, I know him not, I shall be a liar like unto you. But I know him, and keep his saying.
See, this is that thing where people pretend or like to believe that they're honoring their forefathers while doing all the things outside of what was commanded to be done. I watched people do it when my elder died. They put up pictures. They put up all of these things talking about Elder Yaakov, Elder Yaakov. As soon as he died, they tried to change everything that he set up. Now, if you so-called honor him, why you change everything he set up? Same thing they did. They said, "Oh, Abraham, he was our father, right? Why you ain't doing none of that stuff then?" Go ahead.
Verse 56. Your father Abraham rejoiced to see my day, and he saw it, and was glad. Then said the Yehudis unto him, You are not yet 50 years old.
You ain't no elder. What's wrong with you? You ain't yet 50 years. You have to know how Israel do things to really understand this statement. You ain't no elder. Do you know Abraham? You ain't yet 50 years old. You have people that believe that a man can't be a priest until he's 50 years old. My elder pulled me aside one day and said, "Son, I'm the elder priest because once I turned 50, I then got the term or the title of elder." He said, "Man, but I started being a priest in my 30s. Apparently, he didn't tell everybody else that. Go ahead.
And have you seen Abraham? Yahshua said unto them, Verily, verily, I say unto you, before Abraham was, I am. Then took they up stones to cast at him. But Yahshua hid himself and went out of the temple, going through the midst of them, and so passed by.
They took up stones to cast at him. Let's go to Matthew chapter 13. And see, we're looking at these things and we say, "Oh, this is so harsh," that people would just throw stones at Christ. We do the same thing when we decide that we're not going to do and follow the order that he has laid out. When people decide, you know what, we're going to keep Passover, but we're not going to do the wine. We're going to do the grape juice. We're not going to keep the Sabbath. We're going to keep Sunday. Go ahead and pick up the rock and throw it at them, because that's what you've been doing. See, there's a whole lot of things that we don't understand what that baptism does in cleansing us. You done already done this. You did it, I did it. We done throw a lot of rocks at it. We read this thing and go out and do something else. And there were questions in us, but we didn't have, we wasn't secure enough in ourselves to keep going. As a child, I asked, "Hey, what did Easter egg got to do with Jesus?" "Shut up, boy, go get them eggs." So I ain't asked the question no more. I knew something wasn't right. I ain't know nothing, but I knew something wasn't right. There are people that know some stuff that's not right, but they can't prove it, so they let somebody else's bold statement pull them down, and then they don't do what they're supposed to do. It doesn't make any sense that Christ's birth is a fixed day, but the resurrection day moves. Now, he was born on December 25th every year, but he resurrected on different days. Wait a minute, man. Hold on, bro. Hold on, man. Hold on. I didn't go to Yale. I ain't go to Princeton, but let me tell you something, brother. This don't make no sense. So it's a fixed day on the birth, but it's a moving day on the other birth. Man, come on, man. That don't make no sense. Nobody asked, well, why is Easter ain't this, one set day, just like Christmas is. Christmas supposed to be the birth, right? Ain't that the lie they told them? Okay, so like I said, you can't never tell a lie. Lies get lonely. Lies get lonely. You're going to always have to tell another one. So that's supposed to be the birth. Well, how's this make any sense then? We be talking about now his death and then his being born again. How does it move? They can't tell you what the next Easter is going to be until the calendar come out. That's because they got to rearrange that lie to put it back in the time of Passover that they not going to keep. Right. Go ahead.
Matthew chapter 13 and verse 53. And it came to pass that when Yahshua had finished these parables, he departed thence. And when he was come into his own country, he taught them in their synagogue. insomuch that they were astonished, and said, Whence has this man this wisdom, and these mighty works?
Now, you're going to find here how the flesh does. Whence have this man this wisdom? How he understand this? Go ahead.
Is not this the carpenter's son? Is not his mother called Mary, and his brethren Jacob and Joses and Simeon and Jehudas? And his sisters, are they not all with us? Whence then has this man all these things? And they were offended in him.
Right, they were offended because they knew him, and they didn't understand how he get to be all of this. Now remember, it says a servant is not above his master. So you're going to have the same thing. People going to ask, so when you get to be all about the Sabbath? I remember me and you partied Friday night. We partied. We passed out and woke up. What are you talking about now? All of a sudden you talking the Sabbath? From whence you have these things? Right. They going to do the same thing to you. Go ahead.
But Yahshua said unto them, A prophet is not without honor, save in his own country and in his own house.
A prophet is not without honor, save in his own country and in his own house. In your own country and your own house, you're going to have all kind of issues. Yahshua did. What make you special? Let's go 1 Samuel chapter 18. See, we don't know we're denying him. See, that flesh make you think you're doing something else. See, when we keeping all of these different holidays and going about our business and doing all of those things, we don't see that we are rejecting him. We're just going along with the status quo. This is what everybody else does, so we're gonna do this. And the first question, we can't explain any other things of why we're doing it. Go ahead.
1 Samuel chapter 18 and verse 1. And it came to pass, when he had made an end of speaking unto Saul, that the soul of Jonathan was knit with the soul of David, and Jonathan loved him as his own soul. And Saul took him that day, and would let him go no more home to his father's house. Then Jonathan and David made a covenant, because he loved him as his own soul. And Jonathan stripped himself of the robe that was upon him, and gave it to David, and his garments, even to his sword, and to his bow, and to his girdle.
Do you understand what spiritually happened just then?
Renounced his friendship.
Yes. He renounced his friendship, not knowing it. This was the son of Saul, who then turned around. He would be the next, because once things are given, it's then going to follow that family. But Israel likes to do things in the flesh. Yahweh's doing things in the spirit. So he stripped himself of the robe and gave David his garments. It's no different than sell me your birthright. It ain't no different. But see, that's why you have people who are constantly looking at the physical, so they can't see the spiritual things. See, they think, okay, this man was ruler, so automatically his son gonna come and rule. Yeah, it might be a spiritual son, not the natural. Oh, so this was the place where I heard the word, so the spirit gonna always be here. Now that they don't do what they're supposed to be doing, spirit gonna walk right out that door. Go ahead.
And David went out whithersoever Saul sent him, and behaved himself wisely. And Saul set him over the men of war, and he was accepted in the sight of all the people, and also in the sight of Saul's servants.
Right. So he's steadily climbing the ladder because he's doing the things that he needs to do. But understand, he has been anointed king, but he didn't go in there messing with Saul. I'm the real king, right? I don't know if you know it or not. I don't know if you got the memo. Did I text you? Let me text you what Samuel said. I'm the real king. Wait a minute. No. He's still working. He's still doing what he got to do. See, we're funny. We'll do our job for about, a little while. Maybe a little while we'll do what we're supposed to do. But after that, we start slacking and slack. This man is doing, you know how difficult it would be for us to work under a man, knowing that we were given the authority over that man? And we want to constantly whine about the things we go through. You know how long of a period he's doing this? And then he was going to keep doing it. The force didn't come by his doing. Go ahead.
Verse 6. And it came to pass as they came, when David was returned from the slaughter of the Philistines, that the women came out of all cities of Israel, singing and dancing, to meet King Saul, with tabrets, with joy, and with instruments of music.
So they got a little parade for them, because they done came back home. Okay, go ahead.
And the women answered one another as they played, and said, Saul has slain his thousands, and David his 10,000s.
There's a problem now. What do you mean, down and he slain 10,000? No, we got a problem. So it's a parade, and David had a bigger float than Saul. Okay, go ahead.
And Saul was very angry.
Why David's float bigger than mine? Go ahead.
And the saying displeased him. And he said, They have ascribed unto David 10,000, and to me they have ascribed but thousands. And what can he have more but the kingdom?
Oh, he got a problem here. Oh, he got a problem. Now, the man has behaved himself wisely. He has not threatened anything that he has done. He has done what he was supposed to do. But now it's a problem, because these women have sung songs. But the power of a woman is, boy, something else, boy. Boy, make men have a problem with each other, and they ain't have no problem with each other. Sister sing the wrong song, brother, in trouble. Why you gonna sing that song? You gonna sing that? Right. Go ahead.
And Saul eyed David from that day and forward.
Now he looking at him. I'm watching you, brother. Watching everything you do. Because the women sung a song. Go ahead.
And it came to pass on the morrow that the evil spirit from Elohim came upon Saul. And he prophesied in the midst of the house, and David played with his hand, as at other times. And there was a javelin in Saul's hand. And Saul cast the javelin, for he said, I'll smite David even to the wall with it. And David avoided out of his presence twice.
Okay. What happened there? What was the change?
Music could no longer appease him.
Why could the music no longer appease him? Any other time he played the music, the evil spirit departed from Saul. This time he played the music and Saul tried to throw a javelin and kill him. What was the difference?
Indignation in Saul's heart.
The indignation in Saul's heart would not allow David to pull the evil spirit out. So when people come with their fake a smile, shalom, I can't stand you. Right, stuff ain't gonna work for you. You keep on doing what you're doing. You can go ahead and fake it. You can do whatever you want. But the indignation inside you is going to keep you from prospering. Go ahead.
And Saul was afraid of David because Yahweh was with him.
So now he got a little insecurity about David. Go ahead.
And was departed from Saul. Therefore Saul removed him from him.
Right. So now his insecurity won't let him keep the man around. So now he get a man a different job. Go ahead.
And made him his captain over 1,000.
So in other words, he demoted him. He took it. He was over the men of war. He was killing, got ascribed 10,000s. He demoted the man because he was afraid of him. Go ahead.
And he went out and came in before the people. And David behaved himself wisely in all his ways, and Yahweh was with him. Wherefore, when Saul saw that he behaved himself very wisely, he was afraid of him. But all Israel and Yehudah loved David, because he went out and came in before them.
See, when you do what you're supposed to do, it don't matter what people do against you. They're going to do something to go against you, and Yahweh is going to cause it to prosper you every time. He demote the man, and the people love him more. And oh man, now he closer to us. Golly. Man, I'm so glad he demoted you. Man, I'm so glad he took your job. Man. Boy, I tell you what. Right. That's what happens when you do what you're supposed to do. No matter what other people do to you, Yahweh's going to make it prosper you. If you give it enough time to do what it's supposed to do. Go ahead.
Verse 17. And Saul said to David, Behold my elder daughter Merab. Her will I give you to wife. Only be you valiant for me, and fight Yahweh's battles. For Saul said, Let not mine hand be upon him, but let the hand of the Philistines be upon him. And David said unto Saul, Who am I? And what is my life, or my father's family in Israel, that I should be son-in-law to the king?
That I should be son-in-law to the king. If that were us, we would have been like, man, I'm going to be king anyway. You're talking about son-in-law to the king. You're going to die, Saul. And I'm going to wear that crown. Go ahead.
But it came to pass at that time when Merab, Saul's daughter, should have been given to David, that she was given unto Adriel, the Meholalite, to wife.
Now, this was a snare to make this man act stupid. And we take the bait. All somebody got to do is give us a little stupid bait, and we go stupid. This was some bait. Remember, it says he behaved himself wisely. You can't turn around and tell a man that he gonna marry somebody and then turn around and give that woman to somebody else. That was made for him to act up. See, some people don't know when they're being baited. So they go right on into the little cheese trap, get the little cheese and get the head snapped off. Go ahead.
And Michal, Saul's daughter, loved David. And they told Saul, and the thing pleased him. And Saul said, I will give him her, that she may be a snare to him.
Right. Now, I already tried the other one, but he didn't react in a dumb way. So I'm gonna give him her because she gonna be a snare unto him. Now, what was so particular about this woman that she would even be thought to be a snare to him? Go ahead.
And that the hand of the Philistines may be against him. Wherefore Saul said to David, You shall this day be my son-in-law, in the one of the two.
Mm-hmm.
And Saul commanded his servants, saying, Commune with David secretly, and say, Behold, the king hath delight in you, and all his servants love you. Now therefore be the king's son-in-law.
Right. Now he don't believe that he's going to succeed in this thing. Okay? Go ahead.
And Saul's servant spake those words in the ears of David. And David said, Seemeth it to you but a light thing to be a king's son-in-law, seeing that I am a poor man and lightly esteemed?
Now, you see how some people are always friends to whoever is in rulership? They said, commune with David secretly. So then they went to do about this evil business. So he's not doing all this evil by himself. He's got other people helping him do the evil. See, at some point, somebody's supposed to say, do you think that's a righteous act for us to do that? But Saul was so crazy, he probably would have killed him. Go ahead.
Verse 24. And the servants of Saul told him, saying, On this manner spake David. And Saul said, Thus shall you say to David, The king desireth not any dowry, but 100 foreskins of the Philistines, to be avenged of the king's enemies. But Saul thought to make David fall by the hand of the Philistines.
Right. He's trying to set this man. There's somebody he don't even really want to fight. He don't even want to deal with these people. So he's going to set this man up and send him over there to go die. Go ahead.
And when his servants told David these words, it pleased David well to be the king's son-in-law, and the days were not expired. Wherefore David arose and went, he and his men, and slew of the Philistines 200 men. And David brought their foreskins, and they gave them in full tale to the king, that he might be the king's son-in-law. And Saul gave him Michal, his daughter, to wife. And Saul saw and knew that Yahweh was with David, and that Michal, Saul's daughter, loved him.
He saw everything that he tried to do to make this man fall did not prosper. In that, he realized that Yahweh was with him. This stuff not in here just for good, stories. You need to keep your eyes open in the things that happen as you are going about your life. There are certain things that you're gonna see happen to people, and people, oh yeah, man, he done in. And you look up, hey man, how you get back up? Right. Go ahead.
You know, even with that, from what Saul requested of him, he went above and beyond in his duty.
Right. Go ahead.
Verse 30. Then the princes of the Philistines went forth. And it came to pass after they went forth that David behaved himself more wisely than all the servants of Saul, so that his name was much set by.
And we see, like I said, each time, no matter what, even though some things came upon him, this is not only just him making it through these things, he's also being trained for this job. He is being better prepared. It never does occur to us that there are some things that we want, but we're not prepared for that thing. Because we think we're ready for everything. We think the flesh will tell you anything. Yeah, you can do it, man. You can do it. You ready, brother. You are absolutely ready. Get that motorcycle. You ever rode a bicycle? No, not really. But you can do this, brother. You can do this. You don't need to get no helmet. Right. Right. That flesh will leave you right there in the middle of the street with your brains laying on the pavement. Right. The flesh talk you right into it. But Yahweh trained his servants. We are ready to do all of these things. Yeah. There's this training part that's supposed to come before that. Because Yahweh not giving you something that's going to destroy you. Lucifer will. You ask for it, he'll give it to you. Now, if you take Yahweh out, like the children of Israel did, give us a king. He gave him a warning first. Okay, this is what your king going to do. Then he turn around and give it to you. So you keep begging Yahweh for something, he get it to you. He get it to you. I want such and such. You sure you want it? I want it. You sure you want it? I want it, Yahweh, and I want it now. Get to it. Don't get to it. Now duck. Everybody duck. Why? Because he about to kill everybody. Just duck. Right. Let's go to Mark chapter 5. See, we have to understand how powerful our voice is with Yahweh. This is a very dangerous situation because it can cause you to be given some things because of your voice and position with Yahweh. Even though you are not ready for that thing, even though you cannot handle that thing, even though that thing is going to destroy you, but because you keep asking, hey, all right, go ahead, I'm getting to you. I'm getting to you. You want a king? I'm going to give you a king. Silver or gold crown, which one you want? I'm going to give it to you. But he going to kill you, though. He going to take all your stuff. He going to do all of these things. But the flesh said, don't worry about it. We can handle it. Right. Matthew chapter 5 verses 1 through 17. Mark chapter 5 and verses 1 through 17.
And they came over onto the other side of the sea, into the country of the Gadarenes. And when he was come out of the ship, immediately there met him out of the tombs a man with an unclean spirit, who had his dwelling among the tombs, and no man could bind him, no, not with chains.
So they tried to chain this guy because they was about afraid of him because he was kind of, loco. So the chains couldn't even hold him. Go ahead.
Because that he had been often bound with fetters and chains, and the chains had been plucked asunder by him, and the fetters broken in pieces, neither could any man tame him. And always, night and day, he was in the mountains and in the tombs, crying and cutting himself with stones.
All right, you got to get this visual now. They try to chain this dude because they kind of scared of him. He break out of the chain. He go into the mountains and he be screaming and cutting himself. I mean, he just cutting himself. Now, hey, you ain't really trying to run up on this kind of cat. You understand? We not really trying to meet this dude on the, understand now, they don't have street lights, okay? So the last thing you trying to do is trying to, walk back to your little tent hut, wherever you live. And then you got Mr. Cutting himself with rocks and screaming coming out of the bushes. So they trying to know where he at all times. Go ahead.
Verse 6. But when he saw Yahshua far off, he ran and worshipped him.
Now that's the crazy one now. Now wait a minute now. He crazy and ain't got good sense. And he run to Yahshua. Go ahead.
And cried with a loud voice and said, What have I to do with you, Yahshua, you son of the Most High Elohim? I adjure you by Elohim that you torment me not.
Now, how the crazy man know that Yahshua is the one to follow, but all the smart people don't? That cause that demon he entertaining no more than your flesh know. Go ahead.
For he said unto him, Come out of the man, you unclean spirit.
He talking to the spirit. He not talking to the physical man. It was the spirit that knew that was Yahshua. That devil knew that's Yahshua. That spirit that he's entertaining knew that's Yahshua, not the man. Go ahead.
And he asked him, What is your name? And he answered, saying, My name is Legion, for we are many.
It's so many of us inside this dude, we don't even really have, it's too many of us to have a name, so we got a collective name. That's a lot of demons. Go ahead.
And he besought him much that he would not send him away out of the country.
Now you understand why them people didn't want to deal with him, because this was some strange stuff. He don't have one. Understand, there's other situations where a person had a spirit and that spirit caused problems. This one has many spirits. You understand why they was afraid of this guy. They had probably never seen anything like this. And you got to think now. This is, he said, what is your name? And he answered saying, my name is Legion, for we are many. Think about what can be the problem. You ever heard somebody say something, or you might be in a conversation, and then all of a sudden they say something else, and you say, that don't fit the conversation. Where'd that come from? That was that other demon talking. See, that was that other demon that was made. See, you don't know which demon might be talking. So a lot of times you talk to somebody and they just so sweet. Then the next minute, they hellfire and damnation. What happened? That's that other demon that just showed up. So you're like, wait a minute, it was like talking to two different people. Right, you were talking to two different people. Go ahead.
Mark chapter 5 and verse 11. Now there was near unto the mountains a great herd of swine feeding, and all the devils besought him, saying, Send us into the swine, that we may enter into them. And forthwith Yahshua gave them leave, and the unclean spirits went out and entered into the swine. And the herd ran violently down a steep place into the sea. They were about 2,000, and were choked in the sea.
Understand, the swine have a job. The swine clean the grounds. Swine will eat anything. The people of Israel had sense enough, they knew not to eat the swine. The swine clean. You got to think about, we got all this big landfills, and people want to tell you how nasty the landfills are. And what happens? After they pile up the trash, all that stuff, then the rainwater, put that stuff back into the soil, and then that stuff travels in other areas. So all of that trash is going to other places. But you got a pig that'll turn around and it can't be poisoned. So they told people what they say, people got the swine flu and all that. Did that bother the swine or you? Who hurt more? You or the swine? They built to deal with all kind of poison. Then people turn around and go and eat it. And you eating all them very poisons that Yahweh has made this thing immune to. So everything has a purpose. The purpose for it wasn't to eat. If you pull one animal out of Yahweh's ecosystem, you mess up about 20 things. You can't say, well, because we can't eat this animal. It ain't no purpose. Yahweh just, wanted to make some honeybees. That's all he wanted to do. He just wanted to see something fly. He like black and yellow. That's it. No, those things have a purpose. You take them things out of this ecosystem, you're going to have some other problems. It ain't just because everything ain't about you. Because you can't eat it, it's okay to kill all of it. No, it ain't. Go ahead.
Verse 14. And they that fed the swine fled, and told it in the city and in the country. And they went out to see what it was that was done. And they come to Yahshua, and see him that was possessed with the devil, and had the legion, sitting, and clothed, and in his right mind. and they were afraid.
They are afraid because the crazy dude is doing what he's supposed to do. Go ahead.
And they that saw it told them how it befell to him that was possessed with the devil, and also concerning the swine. And they began to pray him to depart out of their coast.
Right. Insecurity. They have the same problem. Yahshua, the son of David, had the same problem that David had. He was able to do something that they couldn't do. And now their insecurity says, we want you gone, bro. We want you gone. We know that dude been crazy. How all of a sudden he got his right mind now? No, man, we need you to leave, bro. Don't do no more miracles here. All right, don't be healing no more people. We need you to go up out of here. Right. Same thing gonna happen to you. Yeah, y'all keep reading this. Oh, this is a nice book of stories. No. No. Same thing gonna happen to you. A servant is not above his master. Go ahead.
So I guess that kind of it can explain why the spirits begged not to let us depart out of this country. They were dealing with us and putting up with us. Let us stay, please.
Hey, man, let me tell you something. And the swine had better sense than to live with the unclean spirit. Hey, man, look at man, we're gonna choke ourselves. We don't want these spirits inside us. The dumb swine had enough sense, but then all them spirits were able to still stay inside this man. Let's go to 1 Samuel chapter 19. But just like Yahshua stated, you know, people say, "Oh, you swear that, you would not of those people who did all of those problems in the old days." And when we look at those things, we make the same statement. Oh, we would have never done this, not knowing that by our actions we're doing it now. 1 Samuel chapter 19, and we're going to read verses 9 through 18.
And the evil spirit from Yahweh was upon Saul, as he sat in his house with his javelin in his hand, and David played with his hand. And Saul sought to smite David even to the wall with the javelin, but he slipped away out of Saul's presence, and he smote the javelin into the wall, and David fled and escaped that night.
Now, imagine now, you already know this. This is what you call a hostile crowd. You're talking about trying to, play your instrument. And I mean, the bad places, they might boo you off the stage, but it's something altogether different than you get a javelin thrown at you while you trying to, play the harp. You trying to play music, and then this guy turn around and throw a javelin at you. So this done already happened before. So he playing both eyes wide open. He ain't closing his eyes. He watching. Cause he know, hey man, he done already throw this thing at me before. I'm watching this cat. Go ahead.
Verse 11. Saul also sent messengers unto David's house to watch him and to slay him in the morning.
They sent messengers unto David's house to watch him. I remember when my elder died, they assigned people to come and watch me. It was funny, man. We be having conversations and people just show up. I'm like, hey, guess who they do? They just stand there, man, and just watch us while we talk. Go ahead, bro.
And Michal, David's wife, told him, saying, if you save not your life tonight, tomorrow you shall be slain. So Michal let David down through a window, and he went and fled and escaped. And Michal took an image and laid it in the bed, and put a pillow of goat's hair for his bolster, and covered it with a cloth. And when Saul sent messengers to take David, she said, he's sick. And Saul sent the messengers again to see David, saying, bring him up to me in the bed, that I may slay him. And when the messengers were come in, behold, there was an image in the bed, with a pillow of goat's hair for his bolster. And Saul said unto Michal, why have you deceived me so, and sent away mine enemy, that he's escaped? And Michal answered Saul, he said unto me, let me go. Why should I kill you? So David fled and escaped, and came to Samuel to Ramah, and told him all that Saul had done to him. And he and Samuel went and dwelt in Naioth.
Now, so we see then an attempt is made on David's life, and we see that it is this jealousy over what this brother has been able to do, that Saul wants him dead. Let's go to Matthew chapter 27. Matthew chapter 27, and let's start that at verse 15.
Verse 15. Now at that feast, the governor was wont to release unto the people a prisoner, whom they would. And they had then a notable prisoner called Barabbas. Therefore, when they were gathered together, Pilate said unto them, Whom will you that I release unto you? Barabbas, or Yahshua, which is called the Messiah? For he knew that for envy they had delivered him.
For he knew that for envy they delivered him. What's the difference? Hey man, look, you done did this stuff. Get up out of here. The same thing happened with Yahshua. Same thing happened with David. How you able to do this? Go get 100 foreskins of the Philistine, thinking to have this man killed by doing this stupid act. Go ahead.
When he was set down on the judgment seat, his wife sent unto him, saying, Have you nothing to do with that just man? For I have suffered many things this day in a dream because of him.
Mm-hmm.
But the chief priests and elders persuaded the multitude that they should ask Barabbas and destroy Yahshua.
Right. Believing the leadership, following the leadership, letting the leadership tell us how we should feel about other things. But see, we have a law that's supposed to govern how we do things. How is it all of a sudden that we forget what thus says Yahweh, depending on who's ever in control? This has been a problem with Israel for a long time. Israel will tell you that they love Yahweh, but you'll find that what they do is they fear the man who Yahweh placed his spirit upon in that particular situation. You go in Judges, they obeyed the judge the whole time the judge lived. As soon as the judge died, they went aside. Now, wait a minute now. Did you think Yahweh died when the man died? Then that would have to go on, and all of a sudden Israel ends up in captivity. Then Israel got to pray to Yahweh. Then Yahweh raises up another judge. Now the whole time, because they see the power of what that guy's able to do. And then they stay with that guy the whole time. That 40 years, if he reigned for 40 years, boom, 40 years they do everything they're supposed to do. That guy die, back to the same thing. This went on for over 400 years. On and off, constantly. Israel has been in a constant situation of captivity. But it's what was stated in Deuteronomy 28. That was Yahweh's way of punishing Israel, not throwing us in a furnace. Go ahead.
That was it.
All right, you finished that. Let's go to 2 Thessalonians chapter 2.
Second Thessalonians chapter 2 and verse 1. Now we beseech you, brethren, by the coming of our Adonai Yahshua the Mashiach, and by our gathering together unto him, that you be not soon shaken in mind, or be troubled, neither by spirit, nor by word, nor by letter, as from us, as that the day of the Mashiach is at hand. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that the day shall not come, except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition.
Right. So there must be a falling away first. So the question is, are you going to fall away as the majority start to fall away? Are you going to follow the majority? Go ahead.
who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called Elohim, or that is worshipped, so that he is Elohim, so that he as Elohim sitteth in the temple of Elohim, showing himself that he is Elohim.
Right. So then we find out why there are these people who have been set up in the land and calling themselves Jews, and why you have this Pope who's setting up all of these things so that he can proclaim himself God in the Holy Land. So he's already proclaimed himself as God by calling himself the Holy Father, the vigor of God, saying that he is God's representative on earth. So he's already done that. He's got to do it, though, in Jerusalem. See, he's doing it where he at. He's got to go. So you notice he's making all these trips and he's going to all these places. Right. He's making his rounds. But he got to go and do it over there. And they have already set forth these people who are going to make it happen. You don't see all of these fightings. They show you one part because the media is Jewish control. You see the people that they call Palestinians fighting them and doing these things, but they don't show you the first part where they go in there and beat up Palestinians, go and walk through their holy place and defile it, and then they go off. They show the reaction. It's like somebody come and punch you, and then you punch back, and they say, "See, I told you it was evil." Wait a minute, man, you punched him. He hit you back. That's the kind of stuff that's going on. So you have people, they have been put in place so that this man can go in there and say that he is God, but he's got to do it in Yahweh's city, and the thing jumps off. Go ahead.
Verse 5. Remember you not that when I was yet with you, I told you these things? And now you know what withholdeth, that he might be revealed in his time. For the mystery of iniquity does already work. Only he who now letteth will let until he be taken out of the way. And then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Adonai shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. Even him, whose coming is after the working of Satan with all power and signs and lying wonders.
Right. You start talking about fire shooting out of heaven, and they're going to say, "Oh, man, God has done such and such." Same thing they said in the book of Job. When they saw the fire shoot down, that was Lucifer doing his work. What did people say? Man, that God has done such and such. Right. Because see, they don't understand the power of the adversary, the devil. So when something happens, because man loves to look for signs, they're going to look for those things and say, it is no doubt the creator doing this. Go ahead.
And with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved.
Mm-hmm.
And for this cause Elohim shall send them strong delusion, that they should believe a lie.
Right. So because they would not believe the truth, his judgment is that he leaves them there. He gives them strong delusion so that they will believe in a lie. Since they didn't receive the truth anyway, then he goes and gives them strong delusion so they stuck there. Some people are dealt with and are walking in their judgment and have no idea. They think it's them. Well, I ain't going to change the way I feel. You can't. Go ahead.
Verse 12. That they all might be damned who believed not the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness.
All right, let's go to Yohanan chapter 15. We must remember what is written in 1 Corinthians 11 and 19. It says, "For there must be heresies among you, so that them that are approved of Elohim may be made manifest unto you." So there's a whole lot of things we want to be free from, but those heresies must happen. So you can understand what Yahweh is setting forth. But our problem is when the test comes, we think the test belongs to everybody else. We don't think the test is ours. So we never do see that number 2 pencil in our hand. Man, Yahweh testing them. You don't see that number 2 pencil in your hand? That's your test. No, that's his. No. That's yours. So you done failed half the test already because you don't think it's yours. You ain't paying attention. Oh, that stuff happening to them. Right. Yohanan chapter 15. And start that at verse 1.
I am the true vine, and my Father is the husbandman. Every branch in me that beareth not fruit, he taketh away. And every branch that beareth fruit, he purgeth it, that it may bring forth more fruit.
I am the true vine. My Father is the farmer growing this vine and tending to this vine. But people deal with it like the Father and the Son is the same entity. This is New Testament, and he's clearly separating him and the Father. He says, I didn't come to do mine own will, but the Father's. It clearly says, let us make man. So how do we let people for 20, 30 years tell us something different? You know why? Because we didn't want to read the book ourselves. Because we wanted to show up on Sunday morning and let somebody act out the Bible. We want to go see a Bible play. Won't you go act out Genesis and while we sit here and clap and sing? How about you open your book and read it? No, I want to just watch the movie. We used to do the same thing when we were kids. The teacher give us a book list. All right, these are the books you got to read. Okay, which one has a movie on it? I want to do this one, teacher. Right, because we already plan on cheating. We already plan on cheating. We're not going to read the book. We're going to watch the movie and then try to do the book report. And you're going to fail. Because the movie ain't like the book. So you go and watch these people act out the Bible for you. Go ahead. It ain't going to be like the Bible. What? They got nothing but, y'all ain't notice all the Bible movies that's coming out now? Mm-hmm. Back to back to back. All these Bible movies, right? Right. Ain't a chocolate chip in there nowhere. Everybody white. Africans white Africans. I mean, they got everybody. But you didn't, right. Let you think you ain't in this book. And if you ain't been taught right, you can't find yourself in this book. So that's why you got those people talking about, yeah, y'all worship the God of the white man. That's because you can't find yourself in this book. Go ahead.
Verse 3. Now you are clean through the word which I have spoken unto you. Abide in me, and I in you. As the branch cannot bear fruit of itself, except it abide in the vine. No more can you, except you abide in me. I am the vine, you are the branches. He that abideth in me, and I in him, the same bringeth forth much fruit, for without me you can do nothing.
For without me you can do nothing. Ain't no independent islands in the vineyard. Ain't no branch of itself. See? So those branches that want to be all out by itself, it end up being by itself and withering and dying. Because all of the nutrients come from the main source. But see, you got those that want to be by themselves and independent. Right. If you cut off the arm and just leave it right there, that arm gonna wither. It's gonna decay and rot because it's not getting any of the nutrients from the source. You don't get to cut off the arm and then the arm still live. No, once you cut it off and it's by itself, that's gonna die. Go ahead.
Verse 6. If a man abide not in me, he is cast forth as a branch and is withered, and men gather them and cast them into the fire, and they are burnt. If you abide in me, and my words abide in you, you shall ask what you will, and it shall be done unto you. Herein is my Father glorified, that you bear much fruit, so shall you be my disciples. As the Father has loved me, so have I loved you. Continue you in my love. If you keep my commandments, you shall abide in my love.
If you keep my commandments. That's not if you keep my suggestions. You shall abide in my love. That don't say suggestions. That say commandments. These are the things that I've told you. I and the Father are one. Yet you have people that have a big poster of the 10 Commandments and break the one on the Sabbath every week. And they feel justified when they show you that. You see my, look at that. That's nice. See that 10 Commandments. Why you always break that fourth one? You break that fourth one every week. But They don't understand that decree of what they're dealing with came from the state. And not even from Israel. Not even the state of Israel. Go ahead.
Even as I have kept my Father's commandments and abide in his love. These things have I spoken unto you, that my joy might remain in you, and that your joy might be full. This is my commandment, that you love one another as I have loved you. Greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends. You are my friends, if you do whatsoever I command you. Henceforth I call you not servants, for the servant knoweth not what his master does, but I have called you friends. For all things that I have heard of my Father, I have made known unto you.
Right. We have a book. He's teaching his disciples. Go ahead.
You have not chosen me, but I have chosen you, and ordained you that you should go and bring forth fruit.
Right. And people love to say, well, I found God. Where was he lost at? What was it? You saw you saw him on a little milk carton and you found him out in the parking lot just wandering about and you rescued him? No. He was never lost. You was. Go ahead.
And that your fruit should remain, that whatsoever you shall ask of the Father in my name, he may give it you. These things I command you, that you love one another. If the world hates you, you know that it hated me before it hated you.
Right. If the world hate you, know that it hated me before it hated you. Go ahead.
If you were of the world would love his own. But because you are not of the world, but I have chosen you out of the world, therefore the world hateth you.
You got to get ready for world hate. See, those of the world going to have a problem with you. You got to get ready for it. And see, there's some of us that fight that world in us. And that's a different kind of situation when you allowing the you got part of Yahshua and part of the world in you. That means part of you hate another part of you. That's a problem. That's a schism. You have to figure out which leg you gonna let walk. Go ahead.
Verse 20. Remember the word that I said unto you, the servant is not greater than his master. If they have persecuted me, they will also persecute you. If they have kept my saying, they will keep yours also.
If they have persecuted me, they will also persecute you. Those are things that we have to keep into our minds. But let us hear the conclusion of this matter. Let's go to Matthew chapter 19. Matthew chapter 19. And let's read verses 27 through 30.
Verse 27. Then answered Cephas and said unto him, Behold, we have forsaken all and followed you. What shall we have therefore?
Right. Now, what do we have a limit on what it is we will do when it comes down to following Yahweh and Yahshua? Now, you have people that want to jump out and be teachers and do all of these things and not understand the weight that comes along with that. Go ahead.
And Yahshua said unto them, Verily I say unto you, that you which have followed me, in the regeneration when the Son of Man shall sit in the throne of his glory, you also shall sit upon 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. And every one that has forsaken houses, or brethren, or sisters, or father, or mother, or wife, or children, or lands, for my name's sake, shall receive 100-fold, and shall inherit everlasting life. But many that are first shall be last, and the last shall be first.
And this forsaking is not necessarily that you would have to put those things aside. It is the care of the things pertaining to the kingdom comes first, as it is written. Take you care of the things concerning the kingdom, and the rest of those things will be added unto you. It's not that you forsake these things in forgetting them. For as it is written, the man that doesn't take care of his own is worse than an infidel. No, when you start taking care of the things of this word, you'll find that those things may end up walking away from you. Not that you left those things. It was that you refused to come off of this word, and those things walk away from you, and you allow Yahweh to deal with those things in your life, and it will end up just like Job. Everything that ends up walking away or dealing however it deals, Yahweh will restore it unto you if you trust him to do so. That's all that we're going to do for today. Remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.